The series opens with Dolly is the heir to one of the largest art galleries in Korea. However, she works in one of the galleries in the Netherlands, leaving the management of her family gallery to her father. On the other side, we see Jinmu, the manager of his father's chain of restaurants in Korea. And despite their extreme wealth, they are known to be a very stingy family, to the point that Jinmu's father scolds his son severely when he learns that he loaned a very large sum of money to the owner of one of the exhibitions. But Jinmu promised to recover the money as soon as possible. Dolly's manager asks her to go to the airport to bring the most important person at the annual exhibition party, whose name is Jin. At the same time, Jinmu is heading to the airport to go to one of the farms from which his restaurant imports meat from Holland. When Jinmu arrives at the airport, he sees Dolly carrying a sign with his name on it, so he goes with her, thinking that the farm has sent her. Dolly takes Jinmu to the party, and from the moment he enters, he does not understand anything. Suddenly he finds himself in front of his painting, and the audience asks him to talk about it, trying to get out of this predicament. Jinmu speaks things he does not understand, and fortunately, he was speaking in Korean. So Dolly begins to translate what he says in Dutch. But of course, she says real things about the painting, not the absurdity in which Jinmu speaks. After leaving the exhibition, Dolly is surprised by Jinmu's ignorance about the painting. He tells her that he has come to import meat for his restaurant. Poor Dolly realizes that she took the wrong person, so she quickly runs to the airport to bring the real Jinmu. At reaching the airport, Dolly gets frustrated for not finding the real Jinmu. However, she apologizes to Jinmu and takes him to book a room in one of the hotels. But Jinmu was surprised to discover that his father, as a punishment for lending money to the art gallery, has frozen all of Jinmu's bank accounts so that he was not able to book any room. Dolly decides to take Jinmu to her house, and when he wonders why he took a stranger to her house, she says, how can she leave him when he has no money, or even can speak English? So Jinmu tells her that he will not forget her favor. Then he makes her some food, and tells her that he owns a lot of restaurants in Korea. While taking a shower, the electricity goes out, and Jinmu hears the screams of Dolly. He goes to her quickly, and mistakenly, he falls on her lap. Dolly gets nervous, and tells him that she's okay. The next day, Jinmu tells Dolly that his assistant is here, and he's leaving now. But he promises her to come visit her gallery. However, just when he leaves, he remembers that he didn't ask her about the name of the gallery, and he knows nothing about her except for her name. Jinmu gets frustrated at knowing that he won't meet her again. But Dolly receives a call that her father has died, so she goes back to Korea as soon as possible. In the funeral, we see a man called Jang goes to stand by Dolly's side, and we discovered that he was her ex-boyfriend. But they separated right before the wedding. We also sees Dolly's brother, named Won, crying heartily. Then we see a man called Hyun, who is Dolly's cousin, and he has published the news of his father's death to make the debtors ask for their money, as he wanted to buy the gallery. And as it was not enough for Dolly, what she is experiencing, as she discovers the huge amount of debts that her father has left for her, she begs the bank manager to give her some time to pay the money, but he refuses. At the same time, Jinmu's father tells him that the owner of the art gallery, that he lent him his money, has died, and he has only few days to give him his money back. So Jinmu tells him that he will. When Jinmu goes to the gallery, he was shocked to see Dolly as the new manager, and he tells her about her father's debts. Dolly promises him that she will pay him as soon as she gets money, but the stingy Jinmu tells her that what is important most is his money. He keeps following her everywhere, claiming that he's doing this out of his fear that she won't pay him. Dolly stumbles, and she breaks her heel, so Jinmu takes her to buy a new pair of shoes, but there she meets her ex, so she hides behind Jinmu. The next day, the debtors go to the gallery to take their money, and before one of them hits Dolly, Jinmu protects her and gives them their money, but he is shocked when he learns the large amount he paid. Then he tells her that since she cannot return his money, he will take over the management of the gallery. It does not take long for Jinmu to discover that Dolly wants to hold a free party for the children. And when the stingy Jinmu expresses his objection, Dolly tells him that this was one of her father's customs, and that she will keep it, since she does have no money. Dolly is forced to turn to her ex, but she refuses to ask him for money. At the last moment, despite his attempts to offer her help, Dolly is forced to sell her house after the bank seized it, along with her last jewelry. Jinmu sees her in a bar crying and learns what happened, so he offers to help. On the way, Jinmu takes Dolly's number, because she does not have any relatives in Korea. But Dolly thinks that he is doing this so that she does not run away with his money, which frustrates Jinmu, making him deny anything but what she said. Jinmu takes Dolly to a hotel and tells her that she did not abandon him when he was in Holland, and he will not abandon her now. He pays for the room, and when Dolly sees the money she has for the jewelry, she says to herself that she will pay the employees' salaries with it. So she takes the money that Jinmu paid and take it to a cheap hotel. But unfortunately, Dolly is robbed and beaten by one of the criminals. Dolly has no choice but to go to her brother, who is actually an adopted brother, but she considers him like her real brother. But what Dolly does not know is that one lives in a rented room above Jinmu's house, and that Jinmu was on the verge of discovering her presence before, when she came to one's room after the funeral, but he did not see her. The next day, Dolly goes to work wearing glasses, so as not to show her injury, but to reassure Jinmu about her. She tells him that she has left the hotel to stay at a friend's house, which makes Jinmu feel jealous. When Dolly tells the employees that she does not have money to pay their salaries, one of the employees expresses her objection, telling her that the shoe she is wearing is a rare piece, and there are only 3 of them in all of Korea. And she does not know that this is the shoe that Jinmu bought for her. This employee actually works for Hyung against Dolly, whom he had previously pushed her to break into the gallery at night to look for something. Hyung then spreads news about Dolly's inability to pay employees' salaries, and about her injury when she was assaulted in a cheap hotel. When Jinmu discovers this, he strongly rebukes Dolly, saying that money is not everything, and that maintaining her safety is more important than money. But Dolly shouts at him that the reason he is here now is money. Jinmu gets angry as she thinks badly of him, and does not feel his concern for her. So he tells her that then she must take care of herself to return his money to him. Hyun posts a video from the hotel where she was assaulted, and contrary to what he expected, the video arouses people's sympathy and makes Dolly's exhibition a trend. A member of the People's Assembly appears to reprimand Hyung for what happened, and it turns out that this is the man that Hyung works for, and he is actually buying the lands adjacent to the gallery and wants to buy it as well. When Jiang sees what happened to her, he tells her that he is willing to pay all her debts and take revenge on the journalist. But Dolly refuses his help. As for Jinmu, he keeps thinking about Dolly all the time, and thinks about sending her a message. By mistake, he sends her that he likes her. Jinmu gets nervous and writes to her that he means sushi. Dolly sees the message and laughs at what he does, and Jinmu stays awake all night waiting for her response. The next day, Dolly sees Jinmu sleeping in the office, and when she goes to put a cover on him, Jinmu pulls her towards him, asking her why she didn't answer him. So Dolly tells him nervously that she also loves sushi. Dolly receives a call from the police station, saying that they found the person who assaulted Dolly, and there the man tells them that he should have killed her. Jinmu loses his temper and screams at him, hitting him hard, until Dolly hugs him to stop him. Outside, Jinmu and Dolly meet Won, and Dolly learns that Won is renting his room from Jinmu, but she hides that she lives with Won and tells him that he is her brother. After that, Dolly holds a big party at the exhibition, and because of the relations of Jang, who goes to the party. This is the largest amount of people attending the exhibition party. There, Jang meets Jinmu and tells him that he wants to pay off Dolly's debts. Jinmu tells him that Dolly has not complained to anyone, and that her debts concern him only. After the party, Dolly notices that Jinmu is sleeping in the gallery, so she talks to him, and he tells her that since his mother died, no one cared about him. So Dolly holds his hand to console him, then kisses him, but leaves quickly, embarrassed by what she did. The next day, Dolly discovers that all the visitors to the exhibition are people who were paid by Jinmu to come, and when Dolly asks him why he does that, despite his love for money, he tells her that all he wants now is for her to be happy. So Dolly tells him to look for another way. Then Hyun storms into the exhibition and attacks Dolly for taking over the management of the exhibition's cafe. He tells her that her father has left it under his management, So Dolly tells him that this was during her father's life. But now the cafe is completely hers. After that, one tells Jinmu that he will be traveling for a while, and warns him not to approach his sister. However, in the evening, she discovers that there was a thief in her house. And the strange thing is that he left without stealing anything. When Jinmu notices what is happening, he rushes to Dolly and finds her curled up in fear. So he hugs her to reassure her, and takes her to stay in his house downstairs. When one returns, Jinmu tells him that theft was not normal because nothing was stolen. But one finds an earring, and when Dolly heads to work, she sees the employee who works with Hyung with one earring, and tells her that she lost the other. So she becomes suspicious of her. And the girl is the one who actually broke into Dolly's house to search for the thing which Hyung wants. Seeing her close to Jinmu, Jing feels tempted and asks to meet her at one of Jinmu's restaurants. When Jinmu sees them, he is about to hit Jang. But Dolly stops them, and Jinmu leaves angrily. In the evening, Jinmu meets Dolly, and she apologizes to him for what happened. But he tells her that he did not know that she was meeting Jang. Jinmu provokes Dolly, which causes her to slap him. So Jinmu pushes her against the wall and kisses her, conveying his love for her. It then becomes clear that it is the head of the People's Assembly who supports Hyung, is the same Jang who wants to destroy Dolly's life so that she can turn to him and return to him again. But what he did not take into account is the presence of Jinmu in her life. It turns out that 5 years ago, he left her 1 month before the wedding, when he learned that she was not her father's real daughter, but was adopted just like one. And although Dolly begged Jane not to leave her, he did. Hyung finally presents the news that Dolly's father was a dealer, and it becomes clear that the thing he was looking for in the gallery were drugs that he had placed for Dolly's father on one of the tablets. News spreads, and all the paintings from the exhibition are confiscated, and Dolly collapses completely. But Jinmu tries to calm her down. Jang pays the gallery workers to testify against Dolly's father in court, but the employees testify otherwise, and the girl who worked with Hyun confesses that he was the one who was giving her the drugs to put on the board. At this time, Jang goes to Dolly and tells her that he is willing to solve all her problems only if she returns to him, and that he still loves her and regrets leaving her. But Dolly rejects him. Dolly meets Jinmu, who confesses his love to her. And so does Dolly. Hyung is arrested, and Dolly, in prison, asks him to reveal who is with him. Hyun finally confesses that it is Jang who was with him and her father before he died, and that he wanted to buy the exhibition, but he refused. So Jang told him that he would implicate him in a drug case. Then her father had a heart attack, and Jang refused to give him the medicine until he died completely. The series ends with Jang finally being arrested after a video appears confirming what Hyung said, and Jinmu finally proposes to Dolly. This is all for today's drama. If you like it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.